Well, going on, my fellow Tenno, Kobe here, and welcome to Nimbus Gaming. Firstly, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you guys had a fantastic 2024, and hope you guys have a better 2025. Today, we'll be going over my Warframe tier list, and please keep in mind, guys, these are indeed my opinions. Nothing here is quote-unquote a fact, so please keep that in mind, and please be respectful in the comments, right? So this will be the chart that I'll be using when it comes on to going over the actual ranking systems. I'll be using these criteria or these categories, and then I'll be ranking them based on this chart, and then that will determine where the Warframe sits and in overall ranking. And also, please keep in mind that this will be pretty much purely the base kits, no special synergies with weapons, companions, helmet abilities. If element ability is mentioned, it will be mentioned in the investment section, or when it comes on to the investment required, because some Warframes have such terrible abilities that they need a helmet ability, or some helmet abilities just work better on certain Warframes. So in cases where I think that is necessary, it will be mentioned in the investment required part, right? So without further ado, let's move on with the list, starting off with Ash. And before we actually move on to starting with Ash, please keep in mind that this list is pretty much based off of normal and steel path and base steel path missions. This does not include anything to do with level cap, because pretty much any Warframe can do level cap if you mod it right, or if you're using the right synergies, etc, etc. It's pretty much just the base kit, what they can do in base star chart, what they can do in steel path and mid to high steel path. I'm not going to talk about stuff in level cap, since it's a very small percentage of the actual player base that actually cares about going to level cap and all that stuff. So yeah, just wanted to mention that before we get started. Now let's actually jump in and start off with Ash. Ash slightly took a small nerf when it comes on to the health and armor changes within Jade Shadows, sending his damage down a little bit. He has good survivability. His investment is not that crazy, you just need a few augments and that's good. So go overall giving Ash a B tier rating. And moving on to Atlas. Atlas is one of those Warframes that look pretty cool. However, his kit is very mediocre. He pretty much only has 2 good abilities. Puts out good damage, okay at survivability. Versatility, not so much. Ease of use, you just punch stuff. So overall, giving Atlas a C tier rating. And moving over to Banshee. Banshee is one of those frames that a lot of people hate on because she's squishy. That's probably a skill issue because she is somewhat complex. Her kit synergizes well with itself. She does okay when it comes on to damage and all that stuff. And yeah, so overall, giving Banshee a B tier rating. When it comes on to Baruuk, Baruuk is one of those Warframes that you either love him or you don't really care for him. He has okay survivability, great damage output, investment, it's middle of the road. Comes on to ease of use, you just punch stuff, giving him a A tier rating. With that, moving over to Caliban. Caliban recently got a rework which skyrocketed his playtime with me and how good he actually is. He has okay survivability, okay damage, doesn't really cost much or take much investment. His kit synergizes well with itself, easy to use, giving him a A tier rating. And moving over to Chroma. Chroma is a bittersweet situation for me because I really do love Chroma's design. However, when it comes on to his actual kit, Chroma only has like 2 actually good abilities, which gives him the ability to survive well and output a lot of damage. However, he's still just so outdated. I'm giving him a D rating. Moving on to Citrine. Citrine is by far one of the best support Warframes in the game outside of Trinity. She has amazing survivability, great damage output, and her kit just revolves around itself, giving her an A rating. I was tempted to put her in S, but yeah. Moving on to Cyto 9, the newest Warframe. Cyto 9 is one of those Warframes that has so much damage potential. It puts out so much actual damage when it comes on to using his abilities. His kit revolves around itself, easy to use to some degree if you're good at aiming. So yeah, giving him a A tier rating. Moving on to Dagath. Dagath is one of the best weapon platforms in the game. Awesome, good survivability if you're using her augment. Outside of that, it's a bit iffy. She doesn't really take much to actually get going, giving her a B tier rating. Right, and now moving on to Dante. Dante right here, great survivability, good damage output, easy to use, not really much investment unless you're building his Noctua. Very versatile, giving Dante our first S tier rating. Right, great frame. Right, and then moving over to Ember. Ember recently got reworked. However, when it comes on to her actual playability, she's okay at surviving, okay damage output, no real investment required, okay synergy. She's just middle of the road, right? Giving her a B tier rating. Moving over to Equinox. Equinox is one of those frames that I really love. However, she's just not that good unless you have the right circumstances. So sadly, I'm gonna have to give her a C, right? Because it's a love or hate, right? And moving over to poster boy Excalibur. Excalibur is one of those Warframes that it's pretty middle of the road. He's a starter frame. He's not supposed to do anything crazy. Awful survivability when it comes on to a steel path. Good damage output, giving him an overall C tier rating, right? And moving over to Frost. Frost recently also got a rework this year, and my goodness, it puts him in such a great place. Awesome survivability, okay damage output, no real investment required except some augment mods, giving him a A tier rating. And moving over to Gara. Gara is one of those Warframes that takes a lot of, somewhat takes a lot of investment because you have to have stat sticks and all that stuff to really get the most out of her. However, she's still an okay frame, nothing too crazy, so put her in B tier, right? And moving over to Garuda. Garuda is one of those Warframes that is great at nuking, great at all that stuff. Her kit is very, very well built. She never runs out of energy. She heals herself, giving her a A tier rating. And moving over to Gauss. Gauss is one of those Warframes that has the perfect kit when it comes on to how it's actually built and designed. Awesome survivability, okay damage output, everything else S tier, right? S tier Warframe, graded movement, all that stuff, right? Moving over to Gauss's friend Grendel. Grendel is one of those Warframes that is good at surviving, has okay damage output. However, his kit design is so tedious. It's not poorly designed, it's good, but it's tedious because you always have to have something in your stomach, giving him a C tier. Moving over to Gyre. Gyre is one of those Warframes that takes a lot of investment. However, once you put all the investment needed, like Archon shards, augment mods, and helmet abilities, she's able to output so much damage that I still have to put her in A tier, though she has such high investment required, right? Moving over to Harrow. Harrow is one of those Warframes that also has somewhat of a perfect synergy when it comes onto his own abilities. He's awesome at surviving, good damage output, not much investment required besides some augment mods. Overall, putting Harrow in a A tier rating. And then moving over to Hildryn. Hildryn recently got a slight rework when it comes onto her abilities, making her a lot better. Her kit feels more cohesive and actually gels well with itself. And the new augment actually makes it good when it comes on to using her first ability. So giving her a B tier. Right, moving over to Hydroid. Hydroid is very good when it comes on to his passive and his overall kit. He's one of the best weapon platform frames in the game. Overall, giving him a tier ranking, great crowd control, great survivability, and all that stuff, right? And now moving over to Inaros. Inaros also got a slight rework this year, a lot of reworks this year. Inaros is still not too crazy of a Warframe. He's okay to use right now, great survivability, met at damage output, investment, it's okay. You need like a lot of Umbra Forma, but overall giving him a B tier, right? And moving over to Ivara. In my opinion, one of the best stealth frames in the game due to her augment mod. She's okay at surviving because she has invisibility. If she doesn't, she's very squishy in that regard. But yeah, overall giving her a B. And now moving over to Jade. Jade is one of those Warframes that has great survivability when it comes on to actually being in the air. She has an okay kit. Damage output is good. Investment required is middle of the road. If you want to use her exalted weapon, overall giving her an A tier rating. Moving over to Khora. Khora has one of the best grouping abilities, one of the best crowd control abilities, and she puts out great damage as well. Kit's very good, easy to use, versatile, giving her an overall S tier rating, and also extra loot. And now moving over to Koumei. Koumei is one of the newer frames. Rough start when it comes out to her. She doesn't really do much, if I'm being honest. She's just pretty much a condition overload frame. I have a few builds on her that are pretty effective, but it's still not really her. It's more so the weapons, giving her a D tier rating. Moving over to Kullervo. Kullervo is one of the best Warframes in the game. Overall, the best melee frame. You could give Kullervo a Sharpie, and he'd turn it lethal. Amazing survivability. Overall, giving him a S tier rating. Moving into Lavos. Lavos is one of those Warframes that the community really loves. However, I dislike. Pretty much his kit's clunky, the timer is annoying, and all that stuff. I know you can get around it by casting abilities in the right way, but it's too tedious, too annoying. It needs augment mods to really shine. C tier rating. Moving over to Limbo. Limbo is actually a very strong Warframe against popular belief. Limbo is actually pretty good. It's just a case that a lot of people used to use him to troll, leaving a lot of people scarred and stuff. Overall, I'll give him an A tier rating. Lowest I'd probably put him is B tier. And moving over to Loki. Loki's one of those Warframes that is so outdated that his passive is longer wall latches, right? He doesn't really do damage. I know his augment mods allow him to do some great stuff, but overall, I just want to see him shine more. He's so cool, D tier. Moving over to Mag. Mag is, for all intents and purposes, a great Warframe, right? Mag is great. Good versatility, great survivability, okay damage output, good synergy with her abilities, giving her an overall A tier rating. Moving over to Mesa. Mesa is one of those Warframes that you could shut your brain off and use, and she puts out so much damage. She's great at surviving. You do need some augment mods and you need to mod her pistols, but overall, S tier rating. And moving over to Mirage. Mirage is one of those Warframes that puts out so much damage, or has the ability to put out so much damage. However, she's so squishy for the most part. But overall, she's very versatile, very synergistic kit. Overall, B tier rating. And moving over to Nekros, everyone's favorite dude since the last time I did this. Nekros is a middle of the road Warframe. Doesn't really do anything. He's just there for extra loot. Come at me all you want. B tier rating. I wouldn't put this guy any higher. I was moving over to Nezha. Nezha is overall a good Warframe. Overall great. Good survivability. Okay damage output. He's doesn't really take much investment besides a few augment mods. Good synergies with his kit. He's not really complex. Overall, very versatile. Overall, A tier rating. Moving over to Nidus. Nidus has one of the most synergistic kits when it comes onto itself. He's great at surviving if you're doing the right things. He does take a little bit of investment. Ease of use. It's not that great. Not that easy to use. Somewhat complex. He's not that versatile. B tier. Moving over to Nova. Nova is one of those Warframes that got a new rework recently, making her skyrocket. Amazing damage output, amazing survivability. It's not really much investment required. Overall, giving her a A tier rating. Very versatile. All that stuff, easy to use. Moving over to Nyx. Nyx has gotten a very recent rework. She has amazing survivability. She's able to go invulnerable indefinitely as long as you have energy. Okay damage output. Not much investment required. Very easy to use. Overall, B tier rating for Nyx. Moving over to Oberon. Oberon is a very sad story. Somewhat outdated kit. He's okay at giving out damage, okay at survivability. Great when it comes onto his team and all that stuff. Passive is meh. Overall, giving him a C tier rating. Moving over to Octavia. Octavia is one of those Warframes that has awesome survivability because you are permanently invisible. You have scaling damage. Not much investment is actually required. She's very easy to use. Overall, giving her an S tier rating. I know she's somewhat boring, but S tier. Right, moving over to Protea. Protea also has scaling damage. She's great at survivability. Great for shield gating if you want to do that. Not much investment required. Kit synergizes with itself. Very easy to use. Very versatile. Also, S tier rating. Moving over to Corvex. Corvex is one of those Warframes that it hurts me to say this. He's so cool to look at, but he's so clunky to play. He's not that versatile. Most of his abilities kind of stuck you in place. It's C tier rating. It's very sad. I hope they do something to this guy. But yeah, C tier rating. Moving over to Revenant. Revenant is always somewhat controversial because he's seen as boring. However, you gotta admit it. Awesome at surviving. Damage output's meh. In middle of the road, everything. Very versatile. S tier rating. Yeah. Rhino. Rhino's similar to Revenant in the fact that he has great survivability. He also buffs everything, every form of damage. Easy to use, you just point and shoot whatever weapon you're carrying. Very versatile because of that. A tier rating. Now we have Citrine. Citrine is one of those Warframes that has the ability to output the most damage. She's super squishy unless you're shield gating. Investment, you just need like augment mods. Very easy to use, very synergistic kit. Overall giving her a S tier rating. Now moving over to Sevagoth. Sevagoth is very good when it comes on to dealing out damage, because his damage is percentage based. Therefore, if you could one shot a level 1 enemy, you could one shot a level 1000 enemy, really. So overall, giving him a B tier rating. He's not the best at surviving. Moving over to Stynax. Stynax is one of those Warframes that I love the design. Kit's okay. Everything else is just pretty much okay with Stynax. Overall, he's nothing too crazy. He's just like middle of the road. Overall, giving him a B tier rating. Moving over to Titania, one of the most versatile Warframes in the game because of how she moves and all that stuff. Okay, survivability. She has okay damage output. Investment required is a bit steep. Overall, giving her a A tier rating, mainly because of the versatility, if I'm being honest. Moving over to Trinity. Trinity's newest rework makes her so much easier and so much more fun and fluid to use. She's awesome at survivability. She doesn't really do damage, but the link does regenerate the damage or redirect it. Overall, giving her an A tier rating. Moving over to Valkyrie. Valkyrie is one of those Warframes is also very outdated based on her kit. Her abilities are very mid. She pretty much only has like 2 good abilities. Not very versatile. A lot of investment to actually get her to work good. Overall, giving her a C tier rating. I'd like to see more from her. Moving over to Vauban. Vauban is also just a middle of the road Warframe. He's pretty much a worse version of Protea in some aspects. Overall, giving him a B tier rating due to the fact that he still does a lot of crowd controlling and all that stuff. And now taking a look at Varuna. Varuna is awesome, right? Has great survivability. The only reason I'm not putting her in S is because she is squishy when not invisible. She puts out so much damage. She's one of the best melee frames. Overall, giving her an A tier rating. Moving over to Volt. Volt is also one of the most versatile warframes in the game. Okay damage output, okay at surviving. Doesn't really take much investment. Very easy to use. Pretty much almost every new player's favorite warframe. A tier rating. And moving over to Wisp. Wisp is one of those warframes that is very versatile. Very, very good at surviving. Okay damage output. Not much investment actually required. Good synergies with herself and very easy to use. Overall, giving Wisp a A tier rating. And moving over to Wukong. Wukong recently got a few nerfs, though not really that much warranted. I don't really care that much. It's great at surviving. Overall, damage output is okay. Everything else is pretty mid. Very easy to use though and very versatile. Overall, giving him a B tier rating. Now we have Zaku. Zaku is one of those warframes that has scaling damage as his damage goes up with the levels of the enemies. He's okay at surviving. His passive is not very consistent, but overall giving Zaku a A tier rating. And now taking a look at Ureli. Ureli is one of those warframes that's a bit misunderstood. She's pretty much just middle of the road. Her new augment that allows her to just play Warframe like a Warframe makes her really good at debuffing, all that stuff. B tier Warframe. Now taking a look at Zephyr. Zephyr is one of those Warframes that is awesome at surviving, good damage output, doesn't really take much investment. She's kit synergizes with itself really well. Very easy to use, very versatile. Overall giving Zephyr a A tier rating. And that was the last Warframe. So here is a overall look of where all Warframes ranked. If you guys have any comments, what do you think I should have changed, or where you would put what Warframe, let me know in the comments. I'm very, very curious to see where you guys would place some stuff. And yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you guys have a wonderful 2025. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me here. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and later.